Hi everyone. This is for my students of architecture. Others can kind of scroll down. Maybe you can hit a like. Yeah? All right. So, I had been practicing as an architect and urban designer for the past 2 decades across India and abroad. In my hands on process of working in numerous urban designing and planning projects, I have come up with 10 magic mantras or quick tips for designing successful urban spaces. Let's discuss. Students can take a note of this. Yep. Before that, public spaces, are complex organic things. And design is only a small fraction of what goes into making a great urban public space. You cannot expect to do everything right initially. The best urban spaces evolve over time. When you experiment with short-term improvements that can be tested over time. Students, these quick tips that I'm going to tell you right now will be your guidelines, will help you to set that foundation, your baseline to work from, where you can from onward, you can go into a greater final design that you are preparing as of now. Right? Noted. Point number 1, keep it simple. Yep. In the first stages of your project, maintain a simple and adaptable design that will allow for future enhancement of space as funds become available in phase after phase after phase, and the community also becomes evolved. Right? A good design should be able to adapt to change. While buildings come and go, the streets and the public spaces last for a longer time. So this is something beyond architecture, beyond just the architecture of one building. It is beyond architecture of one building into the context of this public domain. Right? New developments and public realm improvements should be designed both to respect the existing context as well as to accommodate any future changes. Point number 2, make it accessible for everyone. Make an accessible design. What does that mean? A good public space provides ease, safety, and choice to people when moving to and through the spaces. Helping people to find their way around and understand how a place works is often overlooked. That is pretty sad about our society as of now. But it's one of the most important factors in your design that you can incorporate. Create paths and wayfindings, signages to improve accessibility, orientation, and the connectivity of one space to another, of one function to another. A clear hierarchy of spaces, clear hierarchy of streets and pathways should be established to enable pedestrians, cyclists, and people with physical disabilities move around the city safely and quickly. Point number 3, highlight the character of that particular city. Recognizing and valuing the differences between one place and another is the cornerstone of a good design. Protect and enhance the buildings, the streets, the materials, the landmarks, and views that are unique. And give the city its identity that it deserves to get. The appearance of the built environment defines an area's identity and character and creates a sense of place and community belonging. High quality contemporary design and that has evolved from its context, including the respect to this heritage, the culture, and the people, is definitely encouraged. And that is what you should incorporate in your design that you are doing. Point number 4, of prime importance. You are an urban designer, an architect. Design for people. not for cars, not for vehicle. The streets are the interface between the public and the private realm. A street should be designed so as to accommodate all sorts of functions, not dominated by one function like as in a vehicular part. As in our modern society, which is dominated by cars sadly. If you plan cities for cars and traffic, that is what you're going to get. And that is what we are getting in our cities as of now. But if you try to incorporate the local car movement in streets with priority to pedestrians and cyclists and people who are moving around, you can get amazing results in terms of quality and safety. By leaving your car at the outskirts of a residential area and walking 100 and 150 meters to your house, crossing neighborhood, you have more space for other creative open air activities and a more human-centered public space that you can design. Yeah. Point number 5. Take care of all your senses and the senses of your users. Use all your senses. The human movement is by nature limited horizontally with a speed of about 5 km per hour. The senses are actually oriented frontally. Most of your senses are oriented frontally, right? And the senses of vision is undoubtedly developed horizontally. The social vision field is around 100 meters. This 100 meters is the distance in which you can recognize human figures. While in about 30-meter distance, you can distinguish more detail of a person and can identify clearly the people that will be there. Right? The sense of smell works best in distances smaller than 2 to 3 meters. While the sense of hearing has a wider function, around 35 meters. With these in mind, design your spaces. Try to create opportunities for those with sensory or physical disabilities to use smell, sound, taste and touch to enhance the user experience. Make a sensory space. Can you? Point number 6. Parks and playgrounds are more important than what the developers think today. The great public parks of the world, just like other great places, great buildings in any city, are multi-use destinations. By collectively deciding on what we will make that park of desirable to come to, they will attract a range of people for a multitude of reasons, coming together for a shared public experience. Parks are offering a range of recreation opportunities, extending from a place to sit in the shade, through playgrounds, circuit paths, and in larger parks, sports areas and facilities. While new parks should be, ideally it should be like not smaller than 0.5 hectare. This may vary in urban, infill sites or somewhat, where a minimum 0.3 hectare is generally considered. The smallest variable size for most local informal recreation activities can be like around 0.3 meter or so. Yep. Point number 7. Trust your user's experience. Many of our great architects, we tend to forget. In the process of becoming great designers, the master builders and all, we tend to ignore the user's experience and try to dictate our own wills and whims and fancies on top of the people. No. Trust your user's experience. And that is the mantra today. When people walk, they tend to prefer straight routes. Pretty basic common sense, We always use shortcuts, going straight towards what we want to do. The acceptable walking distance for most people in usual daily circumstances is about 400 to 500 meters. For children, elderly, or other specially abled people, the accepted distance is definitely half of that. These distances are affected by the length of the street, the quality of the path, considering the sense of safety it offers as well as the diversity of stimuli it has to offer. People tend to avoid long detours from their predefined destination, and if this destination is visible by some way or the other, in our country, we straight head towards it. Point number 8. Architect, smart urban designer, choose the right material. Generally, the materials used in paving of surfaces in a public space should be defined by simplicity of design and layouts as well as an overall quality, durability of course. There are also some criteria that you should take into consideration while choosing the appropriate materials for your particular project. 3 of them are very basic. 3 subcategories. One being sustainability, another is cost, third is aesthetics. Sustainability is pretty straightforward. Make it more energy and resource efficient and lower the environmental impact of the project. Use materials found in the nearby area that can be replaced easily. Cost. Focus firstly on areas that are more significant and attract the highest public usage, and make sure they are carefully detailed and implemented to avoid extra construction and maintenance cost in the long run. And aesthetics, pretty straightforward. Use simple, robust, fit to purpose materials that are multifunctional and thoughtfully designed, respecting the existing context and diversity of the usage. Point number 9. Engage the community. I keep on preaching, engage the community. Take feedback, take constructive feedback from your users, from the community that you're there. Principle is about tapping the collective wisdom of the community, tapping the wisdom of those people that know the community best, the people out there, the citizens. By engaging those people who are there, who has a historic perspective of that particular area, insights into how the area functions, and an understanding of what is meaningful for the locals, of how it will help you, to create a sense of ownership. It will create a sense of ownership for the citizens as well as for you being as a participatory group when you discuss and take things forward, and better ensure the success of any urban designing projects per se. Places which feel good to the people of the city will encourage them to use them, and when well used, they stand there to defend those spaces, and there's a better chance of being taken well care of. And finally, point number 10. You are never finished off. That's the point. By nature, good urban spaces that respond to the needs, the opinions, and the ongoing changes of the community require attention. Amenities wear out, needs change, and a lot of other things happen in an urban environment. Being open to the need for change and having the design flexibility to enact that change, to adapt that change, to incorporate that changing environment into your design as you go on and on in the timeline, is what builds a great public space and a great city and a great town. And that is what will bake your cookies in the future. So ask yourself, is your design future proof? Let me know your thoughts and views. Let's start discussing your views on this particular concept. Write in the comment below. I'll get back to you. See you.